One of the most difficult things to communicate about Aikido without being with somebody is the internal feeling of Aikido. And I struggle with that with my YouTube videos about how to communicate what I'm feeling inside and put it into the motion. I'm going to talk about meditation now. Meditation is a central aspect of my Aikido practice. I meditate a couple times a day, usually in the morning and in the evening, usually for 15 to 20 minutes at a time. It's not necessary to practice that long. You can practice for even 5 minutes and find benefit from it. I'm going to explain the basics of the meditation that I use and then some things that I've learned from doing that. The meditation I practice is Musogi breathing exercises, as I was taught, and it's an inhalation through the nose and exhalation through the mouth. And when we exhale, we make a sound so we can hear the smoothness of breath. So in through nose, out through mouth. So there's the basics. The basics is the breath. The next thing to work on after in through nose, out through mouth, is where the breath comes from. The breath comes from the abdomen, not from the chest. So in is filling up the abdomen. Out is contracting the abdomen. And really what this is coming from is the big diaphragm muscle that goes at the bottom of the thoracic cavity, or the bottom of the thoracic cavity, top of the abdominal cavity. And this big domed muscle, in order to fill your lungs, what that big domed muscle is, it goes from shape like this, upwardly domed, to flattening out. So when I inhale, that muscle flattens and draws air into my chest. When I exhale, that muscle comes back to its original position up there. So tightening and down is the inhale, and relaxing and up is the exhale. So one thing to do with breath is to really focus on center. Tohei Sensei called it one point. So focusing on that one point inside you as you inhale, and exhale, maintaining focus on that one point. Some words from Tohei Sensei are, with all your will, focus on your one point. And I like those words a lot. I use them in my mind. With all my will, I focus on my one point. Inhale. Exhale, focus on one point. The breathing is long and slow. I usually use my eyes closed, though sometimes I use eyes open, depending on what I'm doing. So eyes closed, inhale, exhale, focusing all my will on my one point, my center. So, that said, it all sounds very easy. My experience of meditation is that it's extremely difficult and frustrating, almost more than my Aikido practice, because I don't have this big external stuff going on that I can work with. I have all this internal stuff to work with. So my experience in my meditation practice is that I'll go inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and everything's cool for about the first 5 breaths or so, and then my mind starts going, what about this? You know, I'm thinking about something I have to do at work today, something that went on in my family during the day, something that I forgot about, something from my childhood, an emotion that I'm having. All these things will start coming up. And what I work on in my breathing practice is doing Aikido with those feelings, with those thoughts. Instead of trying to like push them away or shove them out of my existence, a thought comes up. And I move with it, just like I would with Aikido. And internally, doing Aikido is a soft practice. It's a practice of allowing and redirecting and moving gently with feelings. Oh, I find myself thinking about a trip that I'm going to take this summer. With all my will, I go back to my center. And with all my will is focused and soft and relaxed. Something else I pay attention to when I'm meditating is my body. How does my body feel? I'll notice, oh my goodness, I am leaning forward. And I've been leaning forward all day, and I get home and I'm doing my meditation right before bed, and I notice I'm leaning forward, so I set myself back. Oh, there's balance. And I'm learning as I do my meditation to feel the tension in these muscles back here, so I can feel that, oh, that's a little bit tight. And if I lean back right to there, those muscles can relax. They no longer have to support my head. So sometimes I have images when I meditate of, they're sometimes useful and sometimes they are fleeting. One image that I've had before, fairly frequently, is an image like I'm a piece of seaweed in the sea, and I'm joined right down here with my hold fast to the rock that's below the water's surface. And whatever else is floating freely up here, but my existence is right down here, that hold fast that's joined to a rock, just joined to a rock. The upper part of the kelp might wander back and forth a little bit, but my existence is right down there. Another thing, sometimes I imagine my body, or I feel my body as if it's filled with some sort of liquid metal, heavy, heavy, thick liquid metal, and it drains weight underside to the bottom of my limbs. It drains to my lower body, and I feel heavy, heavy, heavy. And I notice that when I'm heavy, again, I may notice myself leaning forward. The heaviness of the metal starts pulling me forward. Oops, I want the heaviness to go straight down, straight down, straight down. Relax. All those muscles should be relaxed. I should let myself sit on top of my hips. Another thing that I've learned recently from a Hawaiian aikido teacher is breath can come up through nose, to the back of the head, back down the spine, all the way down the spine to the perineum. And that's the full extent of the breath. So he said, lead your breath like you were leading an aikido, uke in aikido. You're leading them with your mind in, down the back of the head, down the spine, down to the perineum. And when you reach the perineum, this is all full, completely filled with ki. Then when you breathe out, breathe outward. You'll notice at the end of the breath, because of the contraction of the diaphragm muscle, at the very end of the breath, I lean forward a little bit. So, and then I inhale again through my nose, comes to the back of my head. What I find that does is it draws my head back into the proper position, draws my spine back into alignment. So when I practice my meditation in the mornings, I practice on the bus. I have a long, about a 45-minute bus trip from downtown in Eugene, Oregon, to Cottage Grove where I work. And for about half of it, about 20 minutes of it, down to Cresswell, I meditate, and I sit there in my seat, not in seiza, of course, not in a gi, not in anything other than whatever biking clothes I happen to be wearing. And I sit and I meditate, and I work on this feeling of relax, shoulders drop. I notice the tension, I let it go. The thoughts come up about things that I have to do during the day. A kid that maybe had been frustrating to me, I let it go. And I just keep moving with my emotions, my feelings, and strive with all my will to be in my center. So, I have found that my meditation practice is of great service to my aikido practice. It helps me very quickly get to that place of calm, centered, facing an uke. I'm calm, I'm centered. When I'm in the middle of a technique, I notice, oh, that's where centered is. I work on that. Plus, it's helped me tremendously. I teach high school, and being in the classroom, learning to feel calm and centered quickly, get back to that, is helping me tremendously. So I strongly urge you to take up a meditation practice. There's lots of different types of meditation practices. All of them are great. Pick one that works for you. The advice that I've been given is stick with something. If you're going to pick a meditation practice, stick with it for a while. Just do that one type of meditation practice. Then maybe if you want to try another one later after you've really absorbed that one. If you try and do several different meditation practices, especially in one session, you'll get confused and you'll be, no longer will be meditation, you'll be thinking about what you're doing. So pick something and practice meditation, and I think your Aikido will improve and your life also. doing